Carter is gone, Rob Will is dead, and Mariano Reyes just declared war on everything Beth and Rip have left. If you thought the Dutton Ranch finale was brutal, wait until you hear which did not just end a story, it lit a fuse. And right now, that fuse is still burning. Fans everywhere are still replaying that final 20 minutes, still trying to process how fast everything fell apart for Beth, Rip, and the family they built on that Texas ranch. 1 minute Rob Will is standing in a doorway having a quiet moment with his daughter, and the next minute he is on the ground, and Irina is the one who finds him. No warning. No mercy. That is the kind of gut punch Taylor Sheridan built his entire career on, and Dutton Ranch just proved it belongs in that same conversation. But here is the thing that really has people talking. We never actually saw who pulled the trigger. The camera showed Joaquin sitting outside in his car with a gun in his hand, and Mariano had already made it very clear what he wanted. He wanted his son to prove his loyalty by killing his own brother. That is not just a plot twist, that is a family being torn apart from the inside. And it sets up one of the most painful storylines Season 2 could possibly explore. Because if Joaquin really did pull that trigger, how does he live with that? How does he look his father in the eye every single day knowing what he did to get there? And how long before Beulah figures it out? Speaking of Beulah, do not sleep on her. She has spent this entire first season being underestimated by almost everyone around her, and that has never worked out well for the people who tried it. She is smart enough to notice that her son died at the exact moment Mariano rolled back into town, and she is not the type of woman who lets a coincidence like that just sit there. If Season 2 gives her even a few episodes to start connecting those dots, we could be watching one of the most dangerous power struggles this show has ever put on screen, a mother going after the man who took her son, using every ounce of ranch, money, and influence she still has left. Then there is Carter. Out of everything that happened in that finale, this is the storyline that is going to define Season 2 more than anything else. Carter ran from home, ended up hiding at Dwight's place, and for one brief moment it actually looked like he and Irina were about to get away together, to finally escape all the chaos surrounding them. And then that door opened, and instead of freedom, Mariano's men were standing there waiting. That single moment flipped the entire show on its head. This is not a background conflict anymore. This is personal. Mariano did not just lose a fight at the ranch, he lost control, and instead of walking away, he decided to take the one thing he knew would break Beth and Rip completely. And that is exactly why Season 2 feels less like a continuation and more like a countdown. Every piece is already in motion. Rip's actor has already hinted that once Carter is taken, it becomes open war. No more digging around in the shadows, no more quiet investigations. This is Beth and Rip going on full offense, and if you know anything about these two characters, you know that offense from them does not look like anything close to fair. The real question everyone should be asking right now is simple. How far are they willing to go to get their son back? And what happens to everyone standing between them and Mariano when they finally get there? Now let's talk about the crossover everyone has been dreaming about since the moment Dutton Ranch and Marshals both premiered in the same year. Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser have already come right out and said it themselves, in their own words, that they would love to see Beth and Kayce share the screen again. Hauser even said Luke Grimes is like a brother to him in real life. And Riley said flat out that she would love an episode where Beth and Kayce finally reunite. That is not fans wishing on a star. That is the actual cast talking about wanting this to happen. And once you start looking at where both shows are heading, it starts to feel less like a fantasy and more like something Taylor Sheridan could be quietly building toward. Think about the pieces already on the board. Kayce is out in Montana working with the Marshals, doing everything he can to protect his son Tate after losing his wife. Meanwhile, down in Texas, Beth and Rip are in the exact same emotional position, doing whatever it takes to protect Carter. Two Dutton siblings on opposite ends of the map, fighting to hold on to the last piece of family they have left. If Sheridan wants to bring them together, all he has to do is put both of their sons in danger at the same time, and suddenly Beth and Kayce have every reason in the world to end up standing in the same room again. Imagine that reunion. Two people who have not spoken in who knows how long forced back together not because they chose to, but because the people they love most are both hanging in the balance. That is not just fan service. That is exactly the kind of gut-wrenching family reunion this entire universe was built on. And that is where the border storyline gets even more interesting. If Carter really has been taken across into Mexico, that alone could force Beth and Rip to cross lines they have spent this whole first season trying to avoid. Legal lines. Moral lines. The kind of lines that once you cross them, there is no walking them back. And if Kayce's world in Marshals is already dealing with cartel activity near that same border, it would not take much for Sheridan to have both storylines collide in the same stretch of Texas dirt. One sibling coming at it from the law enforcement side, the other coming at it with absolutely no interest in following the law at all. That contrast alone could make for one of the most intense hours of television this franchise has ever produced. Then there is the Landman connection, and honestly this one is a little more of a stretch, but stay with me. Dutton Ranch and Landman both live in that same world of Texas oil money, cartel danger, and desperate people making impossible choices to survive. The theory going around is that Mariano and the crime figures already established in Landman might be operating in the same circles, maybe even know each other. If Sheridan ever decided to connect those dots, even for a single crossover episode, it would completely raise the stakes for everyone involved, because Beth and Rip would not just be dealing with Mariano anymore, they would be stepping into an entirely different criminal world with its own rules and its own danger. Now, there is one detail working against this theory, and it is a big one. The actor who plays Azul on Dutton Ranch also plays a character on Landman, which makes a direct crossover a lot messier to pull off on screen. So this one might stay in theory territory for now, but it is still fun to think about how far Sheridan is willing to stretch this universe. What we do know for certain is that Season 2 is coming, and it is coming with real weight behind it. Paramount Plus confirmed the renewal, and there is also a shakeup happening behind the camera that fans need to know about. Chad Fian, the person who created this show and ran Season 1, is stepping away, and Benjamin Cavell is taking over as the new showrunner. That is a significant change. A new showrunner can shift the tone, the pacing, even the direction certain characters take, and depending on how you look at it, that could either be exactly what this story needs after such a dark finale, or it could completely change the show fans fell in love with in the first place. Either way, it is a detail worth paying close attention to as more news comes out. So where does all of this actually leave us as we wait for Season 2 to arrive? As of right now, there is still no official release date, and that is simply because filming has not even started yet. Riley and Hauser have both confirmed that production is expected to begin sometime in the coming months, and the writers are only just now getting into the room to shape where this story goes next. That means everything we have talked about today, every theory, every possible crossover, every guess about who really pulled that trigger, none of it is locked in yet. The writers themselves are still deciding Beth and Rip's fate right now in real time, which honestly makes this wait even harder to sit through. But maybe that is exactly what makes this show so hard to walk away from. Dutton Ranch never gave us a story about perfect people making perfect decisions. It gave us a family that keeps getting knocked down, keeps losing the people they love, and somehow keeps finding a reason to get back up and fight for what is left. Beth and Rip did not build that ranch in Texas because life was easy for them. They built it because after everything the Duttons lost in Montana, they needed one more shot at something that felt like home. And now, in the span of a single finale, that home has been shattered all over again. Will is gone. Carter is gone. And the family that Beulah, Rip, and Beth spent an entire season trying to hold together is standing right on the edge of collapse. That is why this next season means so much more than just another batch of episodes. This is about whether Beth and Rip can actually get their son back. Whether Bula survives what is coming for her once she realizes the truth about her son's death. And whether Joaquin can live with what his father forced him to do. These are not small stakes. These are the kind of stakes that define a family for generations, the same way we watched happen with John Dutton and his children back on the original Yellowstone Ranch. History has a way of repeating itself in this universe, and right now it feels like Mariano Reyes is about to become the next great threat this family has to survive. And if Sheridan really does open the door to a crossover with Kayce and the Marshals team, even just for one episode, that could end up being one of the most emotional moments this entire franchise has given us. Because underneath all the gunfights, all the cartel drama, all the ranch politics, this has always been a story about family, about siblings who love each other fiercely even when life keeps pulling them apart. Beth losing Will is almost a mentor figure, Kayce losing his wife, both of them raising sons who mean absolutely everything to them, both of them one bad day away from losing it all. If Sheridan brings Beth and Kayce back together on screen, even for a single scene, it is going to hit fans right in the chest, because we have all been waiting for these two to find their way back to each other since the moment Yellowstone ended. So here is where I leave it with you. Do you think Beth and Rip actually get Carter back safely? Or is Season 2 going to take this story somewhere even darker than we are expecting? Do you believe Joaquin pulled that trigger on his own brother? Or is there someone else involved that we have not even considered yet? And most importantly, are you hoping for that Beth and Kayce reunion as much as I am? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you are all picking up on, because half the time you all catch details I completely miss. If this kind of deep dive into Dutton Ranch is exactly what you have been looking for, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because this is only the beginning of what we are going to be covering as more news comes out. Turn on that notification bell too, because the second official details about Season 2 drop, I am going to be right here breaking it all down for you before anyone else does. This family has been through hell and back, and we are not walking away from them now, not when things are just getting started. Stick around, because the fight for Carter, the fight for that ranch, and the fight to keep this family together is only just beginning, and I will see you in the next one.